Hey guys, what's going on? Chris NY Sports here, and today's video is going to be the beginning of my NHL 2018-19 predictions video. In this video we're going to be doing the Metropolitan Division, and in the background I'm going to have NHL 18 gameplay, and the home team I'm going to have in the background, that's the team I'm going to be talking about in the predictions video. So what we're going to do, we're going to do one division per episode. So I'll do 4 divisions. This one will be the Metro, next one will be the Atlantic, so on and so forth. And from there we'll do like the playoff bracket that I have according to my standings. And yeah, so we're gonna do it all, and I hope we get all this done by the time NHL 19 comes out, which will be in a little less than a month, so I should be good. So I'm going to give you like point values and the reason why I have the team there, and things like that. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, we're going to start from the bottom up, and in last place, as much as this pains me to do, I have my New York Rangers in 8th in the Metropolitan Division. They have a new coach in David Quinn, new assistant coaches, a lot of new players, a lot of young players coming in, and I have them 8th just because new coach, got to learn the system, got to learn the personality, and you have a lot of younger players that still haven't played a full NHL season, and Neil Pionk, John Gilmore, Philip Hedl, Elias Anderson. They definitely don't have the depth that they once had, you could even throw Alexander Gorgiev in that list, which it's going to be very exciting to watch him play. Although I have him finishing last, I'm still very excited for the season. A lot of young players, like I said, a couple of veterans, but some contracts I think they're going to be moved, like Matt Zuccarello. But yeah, they're 8th just because a lot of young players haven't played a full year yet, so I think around like the 40-50 game mark they're going to kind of hit a slump and start to struggle, and they're just in a really tough division. They're in the Metropolitan Division. Really hard division. And the likes of the defending, last 3 years, the last 3 Stanley Cup champions are in the division, which are 2 teams. So that's just goes to show you the talent in that division and in your conference, in the East Conference as well. I think this team is. And also another thing I didn't want to forget, that they didn't really do much in the offseason in terms of going out and getting players that weren't on the team last year. They re-signed their players, which most of the signings I agreed with. A couple I didn't really understand. But most of them in locking up Brady Shea, short-term contract for Jimmy Vesey. Kevin Hayes only got him 1 year. But you have some, looking forward, this team looks like it's going to get a lot better. But this year you got to go through some growing pains with the rookies and the young kids. So they're going to finish 8th, and we're going to give them 79 points. They had 77 last year, so I'll give them 1 extra win or a couple overtime losses, however you want to look at it. But they're going to be finishing 8th in the Metropolitan Division with 79 points for me, at least. Coming in at number 7 in the Metropolitan Division, I have the Carolina Hurricanes. They were very active in the offseason. In trading with the Flames and the Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo, they sent Jeff Skinner and they sent Noah Hannafin over to Calgary. Now, I know I got a lot of pieces in return, most notably Dougie Hamilton from the Flames, but I really can't see this team going higher and making the playoffs. They have on paper, they look like a team that could be squeaking in as a wild card. Couple of years, last year I thought they were going to make a wild card spot in the playoffs, because they have guys like Sebastian Aho, Victor Rask. Obviously, of course, now this year they have Andrei Shemeshnikov. That sounded really funny the way I said that. They have Teuvo Teravainen. They have veterans Justin Williams, Jordan Staal. I even feel like I like Philip Di Giuseppe. They got also Michael Furland from the Flames. So it looks like this team should do very well. And defensively, with the loss of Hannafin, which everybody's saying how Dougie Hamilton's really young, he's 25, but Hannafin was 4 years younger, but their defense is still really strong. Justin Falk, Hayden Fleury, Dougie Hamilton, Brett Pesce, Jakob Slavin, Trevor Van Riemsdyk. They got Calvin DeHaan from the Islanders, but I just, this year doesn't make it seem. I don't feel like anything's going to be different this year. You know, they've had the same sort of core pieces for a while now. They don't have very good center depth at all. You have Jordan Staal, Victor Rask, and Martin Necas, Necas, and that's the only 3 centers you have on your roster right now. So you don't have much center depth, and you need center depth in order to win in this league. I'm sorry, you have to win faceoffs. I think that's an overlooked stat in the league now. So that's a huge minus. And you have Scott Darling and Peter Mrazek in net. That, I think, screams problems because you have 2 legitimate starters. You have Scott Darling, who played terrible last year. You have to expect he's going to do somewhat better. He's too good not to. But you have Peter Mrazek. What are you going to say? You're going to be the backup after you were traded and you were starting in the playoffs last year? I don't think so. So I think that's going to be really tough in the goalie situation to figure out. The defense is strong, but again, the lack of center depth really kills them. Really, really kills them. You have guys in the wing that could do very well. Again, this will also be an exciting season for the Hurricanes to watch, and Svechnikov, and you know how Dougie Hamilton does, and how Sebastian Aho continues to impress. But I can't see this team going much further. I really can't, and it's a shame because they have a lot of great players that you'd love to see play in the spring and in playoff hockey. But I can't see it. You gave away Jeff Skinner and Noah Hannafin, and if you couldn't win with those guys around the names I just read, I can't see them winning without them with those pieces. I'll give them 81 points, just one more win than the Rangers. Let me check how many points they had at the end of last season. They had 83 last year, so I'm giving them a 2-point drop off. Sorry, my hat keeps hitting my microphone. Let me take off my hat. Yeah, so they had 83 points last season. I'm dropping them off down to 81, so they're 7th place, 2 points ahead of the Rangers, who had 79 points. They have 81 in the 7th, and that will bring us to the 6th spot in the Metro. And this brings me to the other team in New York, the New York Islanders, who lost John Tavares due to free agency to his hometown Toronto Maple Leafs in the offseason. And don't get me wrong, that is a absolutely tremendous loss. That was your franchise player for the past 8-9 years. That was your centerpiece. However, this team isn't as in bad of a shape offensively as people think they are. Everybody I've been hearing about Matthew Barzal, he's going to have a down year because now he's going up against the top 2 defensemen because there's no John Tavares anymore, so your team can focus on him. But here's the thing. I think of guys like Connor McDavid, who, what's his best asset? His speed, his ability, his skating strides, and he could have 2-3 strides on you, and boom, he's past you. This is same with Matthew Barzal. This kid's really fast. So I feel like he's still going to have he's not going to put up 85 points like he did last year, but he's still going to have a very good season. They have Anthony Beauvillier as well, another center, younger kid. They signed Valtteri Filppula to be a third-line center. You have Casey Cizikas, who I really like, as a fourth-line center. I think Josh Bailey's going to take a drop because he was playing with Tavares all year long. You have Tom Kuhnhackl, Andrew Ladd, Anders Lee, who I really like. I also really like Brock Nelson. You re-signed Matt Martin, who I wish the Rangers got. Jordan Eberle. All these guys, yeah, they're going to be effective without Tavares. But I still believe that offensively they're going to have a good year. However, the question, not the question, but why they're still 6th is because their defense and goaltending is still really poor. Besides Nick Leddy and Thomas Hickey, for me, you have Johnny Boychuk, Scott Mayfield, who personally I love because he's 6'4" and 227, Adam Pelech, and Ryan Pulock. That's not very good defensive depth. And in goaltending, you have Robin Leonard and Thomas Greiss. And Robin Leonard, who just came from Buffalo, who had a very terrible defense, comes to New York and the Islanders, and he's not getting much better, I don't think. I think Robin Leonard is still a very good goaltender. He just had a really bad defense in front of him last year. But I can't say he went to a team where his defense is a whole lot better. I really can't. They didn't. The Islanders didn't really go after a big name defenseman. Not even a big name defenseman, just a solid defenseman. So this is gonna be the downfall of the team. This is kind of the same as last year, and if not even worse, because like I said, you don't have Tavares, so you won't be winning as many 6-5 games or 5-4 games as you did last year. They'll still win some because they still have great offensive power, like with the names I mentioned before. But without John Tavares, it's going to be really tough. I'll give them, in terms of points, 84 points. They had 80 points last year, so I actually give them 4 more points without Tavares than with Tavares. But they're still 6th, out of the playoffs. Yeah, so that's it for the New York Islanders. They finished 6th, 84 points in the Metropolitan Division. And let's get to the 5th spot. Here in the 5th spot and just missing the playoffs are the New Jersey Devils. Last year, they had all the bounces going their way. They won a lot of one-goal games. They didn't really have a legitimate starter, but he played very well and played well enough to bring them to the playoffs. And Taylor Hall was an absolute animal, bringing them 97 points and a playoff spot of the New Jersey Devils. I have them in 5th. We'll get the points right out of the way here. I have them dropping to 90 points. That's 7 points fewer than they had last year, and I'm about to tell you why. I believe Taylor Hall will not have the year he had last year. He's going to have a good year, but not as good. And I truly believe, I don't know why, I have a feeling in December or January he's going to get injured and he's going to miss like a solid month and a half of games. I don't know why I feel that way, but I just have a feeling he's going to get injured. And this team, yeah, they have a lot of good young kids, but nobody's really established themselves last year. Because besides Hall, your leading scorer was Nico Hischier, who was about 35 to 40 points less than Taylor Hall. So when you rely that much on one guy, that's not good. However, they do have a lot of young guys that I want to watch play. Jesper Bratt, Blake Coleman, Nico Hischier, Stefan Nosis, Miles Wood, Pavel Zacha. Defense, they have Will Butcher. They did sign. They traded for Sami Vatanen for Adam Henrique, Mikko Mueller. But like I mentioned with the Rangers, you know, these guys did play a full year. But you did see him kind of struggle last year. But I just feel like without Taylor Hall having that great of a year last year, they don't make the playoffs. And I'm predicting he's not going to have that great of a season. Still, don't get me wrong, 90 points, it's a good year. It's a solid number to get. They lost some veteran leadership in Patrick Maroon. Did he go back to St. Louis? I forget what team Maroon went to. They lost Michael Grabner to Arizona. So now you're putting a heavy workload on these young kids. And I don't know if they're going to be able to handle it. If they do handle it, then I can see them making the playoffs again. But my gut's telling me that they won't be able to handle it, and I don't think Taylor Hall is going to have that great of a season. I mean, not compared to last year, he's going to have a down year. I'll still give him 65, 70 points, but that's nothing like he had last year. So 5th place goes to the New Jersey Devils with 90 points, simply because they have too many young kids that haven't shown yet that they can rise up to the occasion without the help of Taylor Hall. And Corey Schneider, he's a great goaltender, but he was hurt a lot last year. So how's he going to react coming off of an injury? Is he ready to go? That's also another question mark there. So yeah, that's why I have the Devils missing the playoffs in 5th with 90 points in the Metropolitan Division. Let's go to 4th. In the 4th spot in the Metropolitan Division, and the number 1 wild card is the Columbus Blue Jackets. Last year they had 97 points, like the Devils. They were the first wild card. This year I give them the first wild card, and I'll give them 96 points. Okay, now there's a lot to go over with these Blue Jackets. They have a really good team, I feel like. However, I wouldn't be surprised if they missed the playoffs. It was really tight between the Devils. I didn't know who, and the Blue Jackets, who I wanted to have 4th or 5th. At first, I had the Devils 4th and the Blue Jackets 5th, but then I swapped them. Temi Panarin, he has publicly said that he wants out of Columbus, so that is a big issue in the locker room. I feel like that will be. However, this team, I feel like, is just too talented not to make the playoffs. You have Cam Atkinson, who I absolutely love. I absolutely love Seth Jones. I love Zach Werenski. Sergei Bobrovsky is one of the better goaltenders in the league. He could steal you games. They have Oliver Bjorkstrand, who I like. Josh Anderson, who I like. They still have Brandon Dubinsky, who's a great, pesky player, almost like a Ryan Kessler type, but I think he's more likable than Ryan Kessler. They got Anthony Duclair, Nick Foligno, Boone Jenner, Sonny Milano, who is a really good young player, who I think he could, if he could continue to develop, he would be an exciting player to watch. Alexander Wenberg. They have really good center depth. You have Dubinsky, Pierre-Luc Dubois, who I didn't even mention, Riley Nash they signed, Boone Jenner, Alexander Wenberg, Lucas Sadlak. So you have a lot of these forwards that, yeah, they're not all going to be forwards because you only have 4 centers. But you can bring some guys to the wing. You could healthy scratch some guys, and if you have some injuries, you have good backups that you know can help. That won't be a complete loss when you bring them in. They'll know what to do. They know their role. They'll accept their role. Defensively, it does kind of worry me after Seth Jones and Zach Werenski. I'm not seeing a whole lot of depth in that defensive position, but you have a goaltender in Sergei Bobrovsky and even Jonas Korpisalo. Those two guys are very good goaltenders. Obviously, Bobrovsky is your starter. There's no doubt about that. Bobrovsky is your starter. I feel like those guys can help the defense when they have some breakdowns, and they could push you to the playoffs. So I have them, although they have 1 point fewer than they had last year, in the same spot, I think, still no number 1 wild card spot, with 96 points. Because this team, offensively, they have a lot of power. Defensively, Werenski and Jones, great 200-foot players. If you put them on defensive pairings, if you put them on separate pairings, that will just strengthen your defense. But you can also put them together on the power play. And, of course, they have Sergei Bobrovsky right now, who is one of the better goaltenders, who I think is his game's just going to continue to elevate. So I'm excited to watch him play as well. I like head coach John Tortorella. I liked him when he was on the Rangers. I know he's kind of a hard guy, but I kind of like those guys. So I think he will rally his team, and very good forward depth. That's probably the biggest thing. Very good forward depth, and one of the greatest goalies in the league and in the world. So that's why Columbus is 4th with 96 points. And let's get into 3rd in division matchups. The defending Stanley Cup champion Washington Capitals I have at 3rd in the Metropolitan Division. Last year, of course, they won the Stanley Cup. They won the Metro Division at 105 points. However, I think this is going to be a little bit of a dip in the season, only because this is the first time that these guys have had the shortest summer possible in the NHL. You won the Cup. And I feel like they're going to come out of the gate very slow, in my opinion. They obviously have a lot of the same guys that were on the team last year, but I just feel like they're going to have a very slow start out of the gate, and they're going to be playing catch-up for the rest of the season. And again, in their conference and in the division, it's going to be very tough, but I think they still will do it. I give them 99 points. Actually, check that. I'll give them 101 points. So 4 fewer points than last season, but they have Evgeny Kuznetsov, who I mean, you have very good depth at the forward position. You have guys like Brett Connolly, Lars Eller, Kuznetsov, Devontae Smith-Pelly, Chandler Stevenson, Tom Wilson, Jakub Vrana. Those guys last year in the playoffs, if it wasn't for them, they wouldn't have won. And that's the difference between this team and all the other teams Ovechkin has been on. Before, especially early on in his career, it was Ovechkin. It was that first six forwards. And after that, they would get no production. This year, they were getting so much production from those guys that helped them bring up a cup. And defense, Madison Bowie, John Carlson, Christian Juice. I know it's like a weird way of saying it. Michael Kempney, Matt Niskanen, Dmitry Orlov, Brooks Orpik. You have all these guys, but they're a year older now, okay, and they've had a very short off season. So again, I think they can have a slow start. They will catch up around Christmas, but they're going to be in a very strong division. And I still have them making the playoffs, obviously, in the divisional round. They won't have home ice in the first round. And you have Braden Holtby still, who's getting up there in age. And you lost Philip Grubauer. I feel like that's an underlooked piece. Because now you have Phoenix Copley. You don't know how he's going to do. He's a rookie. And you're going to need Braden Holtby. You're going to need to give him more rest. Because he's getting up there in age. He's had a heavier workload. So I feel like they're going to be letting in a lot more goals than they did last year. So yeah, Capitals are third with 101 points. And that's still a very good year. To start off slow and finish the year 101 points, that's very solid. But it's going to be that slow start that hurts them, and that won't give them the home ice advantage that they had last year and went into the division. So the Capitals third place in the Metropolitan Division with 101 points. Coming in second in the Metropolitan Division, in my opinion, I have the Philadelphia Flyers, who had a playoff season last year. They had a very good season last year. In fact, they had 98 points last season in total. And this year, I'm going to give them 105 points. That's a 7-point increase from the last season. They have a very good forward roster. Sean Couturier had a coming out party last year. He did very well. One of the better two-way centers in the league. Still have Claude Giroux, Travis Konechny, who I really enjoy watching, a young, good player. I mean, look at their first 5 centers on their roster. Sean Couturier, Claude Giroux, Travis Konechny, Scott Laughton, and Yuri Laterra. That's awesome center depth. And also you have Noel Patrick, who had a kind of a down year in his first year, but he's just getting into the league, and I feel like he's going to have an improvement this year. And we saw hot spurts of him. If he could just become more consistent, which I think he will, he's going to be a very good player in this league for a long time. You have Wayne Simmons. You signed James Van Riemsdyk, who's coming back to Philadelphia. Jakub Voracek, Jordan Wheel, who I also like, and Dale Weiss. You have a very good forward core and forward depth. You have a good, healthy balance of top 6 and bottom 6 guys. And on defense, it's kind of thin right now. They only have 5 right now listed. But the ghost Shane Gostisbehere I really like. I like Ivan Provorov, Christian Folin from the Kings. You've got Rocco Gudas, who if you limit his ice time to third pairing minutes, he could be a very physical guy. He could kind of jolt your group and give you energy. And Andrew McDonald, and in net you have Brian Elliott and Michael Norworth. And Elliott's the starter, but I would feel confident in Michael Norworth to back him up and if need become a starter. We saw that last year. Norworth came in. I believe he even came in the playoffs too, and against the Penguins. But this is a very solid offensive team. I think their one struggle is their defense, but I think the offense will help them out, and they have decent goaltending to help them steal a couple of games. So I give them 105 points. They have they have a healthy balance of young, up and coming forwards like Travis Konechny, Nolan Patrick, Jordan Wheel, and you have veterans, which those guys will only complement the young players. for their future and for the team's future. So yeah, they will lead the Philadelphia Flyers to a 105-point season, second place finish in the Metro Division, which leaves the good old Pittsburgh Penguins as your division, the Metropolitan Division winner, coming in first place after coming off a 100-point season last year. That was second best in the Metro. Look, when you have Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Phil Kessel, Patrick Cronquist still on your team, you have Jake Getzel. I'm sorry, I still think this is the better team in the Metro. Brian Rust, who if I get a Penguins jersey, it's definitely going to be him. Riley Sheehan. You have Daniel Sprong, who, if he can become the player that the Penguins think he is, he's going to be a beautiful sniper. He could be with Crosby and just put up a number of points over the course of the season. You have a lot of young guys, too. You brought back Matt Cullen. You have Derek Brassard for a full year now, which really could be a solid third-line center behind Malkin and Crosby. You just have a lot of good depth. Jimmy Hayes you signed. You have a lot of depth. Dominic Simone, who showed, if you want to have Crosby with kids again, you have him with Dominic Simone and Daniel Sprong. And then on defense, you have Chris Letang. You have Oli Mata, who I really like to watch. Justin Schultz, who's really come over from Edmonton and really he's really been a better two-way forward. Very good offensively, but he's become more responsible on his own defensive end. Jamie Oleskiak, Brian Dumoulin, who I always thought was older than he was. You have Jack Johnson, who is in a unique situation financially, but he's a solid sixth or third defensive pairing guy to bring up for your team. And in net, you have Matt Murray, who I have my own opinions about him. But nonetheless, he is a good goaltender, and I think he could lead you guys to a division winning season again. I will give the Penguins 109 points. That's right. So a little quick recap of the Metropolitan Division. You have the Rangers in 8th with 79 points. The Carolina Hurricanes in 7th with 80 points. The New York Islanders in 6th with 84 points. The New Jersey Devils with 90 points. The first wild card, the Columbus Blue Jackets, in 4th with 96 points. The Washington Capitals in 3rd place with 101 points. Second place, the Philadelphia Flyers with 105. And the Pittsburgh Penguins with 109, winning the division. The greatest player in the league, still in my opinion, Sidney Crosby is still the greatest player. So, if you guys like the video, leave a comment, subscribe. What are your thoughts? What are your opinions? I can't wait to roll out these videos for the upcoming season. Not only are we doing a predictions video for the divisions and then the playoffs and the Stanley Cup, I'm also going to be doing bold predictions, and I'll probably be doing trophy finalists and winners for the awards at the end. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. This is episode 1 of my predictions of the Metropolitan Division. Leave a comment. Who do you think is going to win the division? Who do you think is going to be surprised in the division? Can't wait to hear what you guys think. And stay tuned for the Atlantic Division coming up in a number of days. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.